Just earlier today, the judge overseeing the civil fraud case against President Trump right here in New York, well, he issued his official ruling. You can see it up on your screen. It is a 96-page document that, among other things, claims that Trump is liable for manipulating his net worth in order to secure more favorable bank loans, and he is therefore ordered to pay a massive penalty of roughly $355 million. Also, besides President Trump himself, his two adult sons, Eric Trump as well as Donald Trump Jr., are both ordered to pay $4 million each, as well as Mr. Alan Weisselberg, a Trump Organization executive, who has been ordered to pay $1 million. Now, in terms of why this penalty is so large, let me give you a bit of background. In this case, the Attorney General of New York, Miss Letitia James, she was accusing President Trump of inflating his net worth in order to secure more favorable bank loans. And even though President Trump paid off all the loans, and even though the banks made money on those loans, well, Ms. James was still arguing that the banks were victims because they could have made more money in interest if President Trump had not inflated his net worth. And as such, here is the rationale for the $355 million penalty. Quote, even though the lenders made money from Mr. Trump, they were purported victims in the case, with Ms. James arguing that absent his fraud, they could have made even more. The financial penalty reflects those lost profits, with nearly half of the $355 million, $168 million, representing the interest that Mr. Trump saved, and the remaining sum representing his profit on the recent sale of two properties, money that the judge has now clawed back. In total, when you include everyone from the Trump Organization, all the different executives, the financial penalty amounts to $364 million. And here's specifically how the judge broke it down. Quote, the figure breaks down to $168 million for several properties with interest applied for March 2019 and $126 million from another small group of properties, including the old post office building in Washington, D.C., with interest applied for May 2022. The Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust and other umbrella organizations are jointly liable for $60 million with interest from June 2023. Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. are personally liable for $4 million each with interest from May 2022. And Mr. Weisselberg is personally liable for $1 million with interest from January of 2023. But this penalty actually gets even worse. That's because besides the financial punishment, there were two other stipulations. The first had to do with President Trump and his two adult sons not being able to serve as business executives here in the state of New York. Quote, Judge Engoron imposed a 3-year ban preventing Mr. Trump from serving in top roles at any New York company, including his own, but the judge also applied that punishment to the former president's adult sons for 2 years. One of the sons, Eric Trump, is the Trump Organization's de facto chief executive, and the ruling throws into doubt whether any member of the family can run the business in the near term. Meaning, in plain English, that President Trump will not be able to serve in any executive capacity of any company here in New York for the next 3 years. And also, his sons will not be able to serve as executives for the next 2 years. And as such, the question of who will be running the Trump Organization during this period of time becomes quite pertinent. In fact, the ruling also stipulates that, quote, President Trump and his companies cannot apply for loans from any financial institutions chartered by or registered in New York for 3 years. And so between not being able to serve as an executive and not being able to get loans, this effectively bars President Trump from doing any business in the state for the next 3 years. Furthermore, besides the question of who will be running the company, well, Judge Engoron, he imposed another crucial punishment against President Trump by forcing an independent state monitor to remain at the Trump Organization for at least the next 3 years. Quote, Judge Engoron extended for 3 years the appointment of an independent monitor who will be the court's eyes and ears at the Trump Organization, watching for fraud and second-guessing transactions that look suspicious. Trump's lawyers have railed against the monitor, Ms. Barbara Jones, saying that her work has already cost the business more than $2.5 million. And so generally, this is a rather rough development for President Trump as well as the Trump Organization as a whole. In terms of finances, the latest reporting that I've read claims that President Trump has about $425 million in cash on hand. And so between this $355 million fine, as well as the $83 million fine that he was ordered to pay Ms. E. Jean Carroll in that defamation lawsuit that was decided on last month, well, it might really be the case that all of Trump's available cash gets wiped out. Now, just for your reference, this whole case was what's known as a bench trial, meaning that there was no jury, and it was essentially Judge Arthur Engoron who unilaterally decided that President Trump and the Trump Organization were guilty, and he's also unilaterally decided the financial penalty of $364 million. And as such, President Trump has already stated that he will be appealing this decision to the New York Court of Appeals. However, even though the appeal will likely be filed very soon, probably within the next week or two, President Trump will still need to either come up with the money himself or to at least secure a bond within the next 30 days. Quote, President Trump will appeal the financial penalty, which could climb to $400 million or more once interest is added, but will have to either come up with the money or secure a bond within 30 days. The ruling will not render him bankrupt because most of his wealth is tied up in real estate. Mr. Trump will also most likely ask an appeals court to halt the restrictions on him and his sons from running the company while it considers the case. And so there you have it. He will not be able to file bankruptcy, and even though he will be appealing the case, he will still be liable within the next 30 days for somehow coming up with the $355 million odd. Now, of course, the real winner in this case is Miss Letitia James, because if you rewind the clock back to the year 2018, back when she was still running for Attorney General, she was running on a platform of getting Trump. Take a look.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president. He should be charged with obstructing justice. I believe that the president of these United States can be indicted for criminal offenses. I will be shining a bright light into every dark corner of his real estate dealings. And every dealing demanding truthfulness at every turn.
Individuals who care about, again, going after Donald Trump as illegitimate government president.
And we've got to get ready to agitate and irritate until victory is won, but more importantly, until Trump is defeated.
President, because he's not my president, he's an illegitimate president. His days are numbered.
We will all rise up and resist this man.
All right, just to pause here for a super quick moment. Listen, if your hair is starting to get a little bit thin, maybe the hairline is starting to recede, or maybe there's a little bald spot appearing at the top, well, the first thing is to accept that it's happening. The second step, though, is to be proactive, which is exactly where the sponsor of today's episode comes in, Antera Skincare. They produce a phenomenal follitin hair regrowth serum, which uses the power of peptides to promote natural hair growth. These peptides, they penetrate deep into the scalp and they target the very root of hair loss. They strengthen hair follicles, they encourage new growth, and they can even restore your hair's natural thickness. Best of all, they don't have any weird chemicals in there. It's basically just follitin, which can boost your natural hair volume and nourish your scalp. And so give it a try. With hair loss, of course, everyone is different. For some people, lasers work phenomenally well. For other people, lasers don't work at all. For some people, minoxidil works great. For others, minoxidil doesn't work at all. And so if you or someone you know has thinning hair, well, maybe this follitin serum from Antera Skincare, it might be the exact perfect thing for you. And what's cool is that right now, if you head on over to enteraskincare.com/Roman and you use promo code Roman, that's ROMAN, they will give you 10% off your first order. So give them a try. I'll also throw the link down into the description box below. And indeed, with this verdict now in hand, she has essentially succeeded in her campaign promise. She has gotten Trump and is now having photos like this being published of her in the New York Times with a caption reading, "The victory is a major moment for Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, who campaigned on bringing Mr. Trump to justice." Very cool. If you'd like to read the entirety of the 96-page verdict for yourself, I'll throw a link to it. It'll be down there in the description box below if you are the type of person that likes to dig into the weeds. And all that's going to return is that as you're making your way down there to the description box, take a super quick detour to smash those like and subscribe buttons so the YouTube algorithm will be quite literally forced to share this video out to ever more people. And then lastly, if you enjoyed today's episode and you're just thinking to yourself, man, I like this content, I just wish Roman would publish more episodes every single week. Well, you're in luck, because I do. Over on Epoch TV, our awesome no-censorship video platform, I publish anywhere between 1 to 3 exclusive episodes of Facts Matter every single week, usually on topics that are unfortunately too spicy for here on YouTube. Things like ballot fraud, voter fraud, things like climate change, mRNA vaccines, and other things of that nature. And of course, everything on Epoch TV is properly sourced, everything is fact-based, but just saying certain things on YouTube will have the algorithm that crawls all of our episodes just potentially take our episodes down and maybe even delete our channel if we dare to discuss those topics here. And so that's exactly why we set up Epoch TV. So if you'd like to check out those exclusive episodes every single week, including a huge backlog from the last 3 years, now's a great opportunity to check it out because the Epoch Times is running a great sale. 25 cents a week for a full year, which if you do the math, works itself out to just be $1 a month. And so if you're indeed looking for a source of honest news, well, perhaps take this opportunity to check out the Epoch Times. I'll throw a link to that sale page. It'll be right there at the top of the description box below. You can just click on that link. It'll that'll take you to the sale page where you can try the Epoch Times. Again, just a single $1 a month. I hope you check it out. And then until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed. Most importantly, stay free.